AFIO Now is presented by Northwest Financial Advisors, where our world revolves around you.
Hello, everyone. This is Jim Hughes with AFIO Now. We are a program of recorded interviews with senior intelligence officers. And today I have a very special guest. It's a real privilege to welcome General Michael Hayden to the program. He is a retired four-star Air Force general. He served as the director of NSA from 1999 to 2005, as the first principal deputy director of national intelligence 2005 to 2006, and then as the director of CIA from 2006 to 2009. General Hayden and I first met in the spring of 1999 when he took command of NSA, and it was my privilege to spend a short time at that fine organization. General Hayden, welcome to AFIO Now.
Thank you. Thank you again. I'm looking forward to our questions.
General Hayden, based on your vast experience and service at a number of intel community agencies, what do you think some of the greatest attributes are of the U.S. intelligence community?
This is easy, okay? The people, they're really, really, really wonderful. You know, by the way, I've had a stroke almost 5 years ago, and I have aphasia, but you'll see it'll be okay for our talking about everything, okay? So I like the people in the intelligence community. They are very good. They're, what am I going to say? They're amazing. They are truly amazing.
On the other hand, what do you think some of the shortcomings of the intelligence community might be?
Well, it's hard, isn't it, for intelligence? You think, well, I think that's going to be there, but I'm not sure. So you talk to the president, for example, and say, well, Mr. President, we think it's going to be this way, but we can't be sure. And you have to do that because, well, sometimes you think, oh, yeah, I know about that. It's easy. No, it's not, So we talk to the president, and sometimes I would say, I think this is good, but Mr. President, maybe it's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 65%. I think that is right. But you know what? Sometimes it doesn't happen. And by the way, that's it for intelligence. Things happen.
Yeah. During our terms of service, one of the limitations of the U.S. intelligence community was what we called stovepipes.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that each individual organization tended to have its own command and control structure, and we didn't necessarily always communicate with each other as best we might.
Yep.
But that tended to break down over time. During your years of service in the different agencies, how did you see the U.S. intelligence community coming together more and more?
Yes, indeed. Well, after 9/11, we did a lot of things. We know that we would have to do that, and we did, and that's very good. But sometimes the other thing was wrong. Well, it's not wrong, but it's complicated. For example, about a year ago, a man in Massachusetts, okay? He was very young, 23, 24 years old, and he did some things that are very wrong about that. And sometimes they say, well, the Congress will say, what they did that? Why could you do that? And so on. But I'm saying, no, I know it's a problem, but we have to do it, because if we don't do it, we're not doing enough work for everybody. So you know what I mean about it was a Air Force person, right? And he was wrong. And I'm sorry, I think he's going to be in prison, but we still have to, what's the word? Boy, it's, we have to do CIA, NSA, and so on together all at once.
As you know, sir, one of the well-known failures at CIA was an analytic failure around Iraq WMD.
Yep.
What kind of adjustments has CIA made since then to try to improve those processes and avoid that kind of a mistake in the future?
Yes, indeed. Now, that was before my time at CIA, but I was at NSA, and I was there with George and about 10 people, okay? And we're talking about the NIE, you know? And what about that? What about that? And what about that? And I was part of it. And I said, no, I think it's true. I think we'll tell the president it's true. And in fact, now it wasn't true, okay? So we did a lot of things for intelligence and in analysis, for analysis, okay? So I think it'll be better. But again, you know, like now I was done about 2 years after I left, and we had a thing going for bin Laden, okay? And it was a wonderful thing. But you know what? At CIA, I talked with other people after that happened and said, so you know, right? Actually, it was hard. It was 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60% maybe. But I think we have to try. We have to try. And sometimes we try and it's wrong. And that's a problem. Now, this is another thing for Tehran. They had a missile, not a missile program, but a nuclear program. Okay? When I was there, and we said, well, it was 5 years before we have done that, so let's look at it and see. And we thought, well, before 5 years ago, we said, oh, it was a nuclear program for sure. But now, when I was at CIA, they said, well, I think so, but let's just call it more or less not up there, but down here, okay? And and then it turned out that no, they stopped the program. So I went to the president and said, so 1 to 2 years ago, they're saying Tehran is doing new missile programs, but now they've stopped. And the president said, what? I don't, is that true? And it was so we talked to the president for 3 or 4 days now. And I said, no, it's true. And so before we were thinking in Tehran, it was weapons of mass destruction. And then we said, we thought that, and it was true, but now it's not. And we did that, and that's very important that we did that. And by the way, the president was mad, but he said, if that's your conclusion, then that's your conclusion.
During your years of service at NSA and DNI and CIA, what were some of the most serious threats that the United States faced?
Wow, well, way back when, and in Moscow, you know, way back when, everybody was worried about what's going on nuclear. Okay? And now we've not done that very much but now it's coming back, if you know what I mean, because Putin wants, maybe he'll use nuclear weapons in Ukraine. No, I don't think so, but if I was in charge right now, I would tell the president, well, I don't think so, but I can't be sure. I can't be sure.
What do you think some of the most serious challenges are that the community will face into the future?
I talked about the CIA director, okay? It was more than 2 years ago. And he was going to Congress for the first time. And I'd say, well, it's Russia, okay? It's Russia. Second, it's China. And then I said, and the third thing was, it's China, okay? So that's very important. And he laughed that I said that, but I was saying, no, it's a problem. Because when I was there, okay, at CIA, I would say, okay, on Monday, I want to talk about your people, the analysis, talking about China. And then at the end of the week, I would say, okay, I didn't have time at all. Next week, I'm going to do something about it. And the next week, and the next week, and the next week. And finally, I was out. That's what's happening to me. But it's China now. So China, now Russia is a problem. It's not the Soviet Union, okay? I know that. It's different, but it's a problem. And now I think global warming is also a thing that I'm worried about too. And oh yeah, it's also Al Qaeda or friends of Al Qaeda also as well. But first of all, it's China. It's China.
Sir, what would you like the American public to know most about the U.S. intelligence community?
It's easy. They're very good. They are very good. They're good for people. They're really good at people, but also they're good at what they do. When I was at CIA for the first time, okay, I went from the White House to CIA direct, and they had a meeting of all the people in my, for the first time. And I actually said, you're good, okay? So a lot of things were going around, weapons of mass destruction and so on. Do you know what? You're very good. So just go and do your work. It'll be okay. And if they have some problems, I'll work on it. But you go do your work. And that's what I said.
Well said. Well, I would like to thank General Michael Hayden for a very courageous and informative interview today.
Thank you.